got another video for you guys today. And today, what I'm gonna do, just because I know this has been something that I've been messing around with a lot in these last couple weeks, even from the get-go, I think setting up your macros is such a big thing. I thought I would make a video on how I set up my macros and what I'm actually doing to adjust if needed as well. So as promised, I will be showing you guys the method I use to set up my macros. The first thing you guys want to do, keep track of your weight for a couple of days. It's consistent. It's not like you're just starting off at, say, the night before today. I ate a lot, so my weight is a little bit higher than normal. So try to have an average. If you can do like 2-3 days, I think that should be pretty solid for you to start. So the first thing is start off with your weight. For me, I'm gonna keep this easy and do 180. So 180 pounds is what I start off with. So you get your weight, so you want to multiply this by 10. Then from that number, in my case 1800, I will actually multiply that by an activity multiplier. Not to go too in-depth, activity multiplier just gauges how much activity you do on a day-to-day basis. So basically the amount of calories that you're burning. This number or this range is preset. These parameters have been, there's been a lot of science behind it. These are the numbers that you want to multiply. I want to multiply by 1.3 through 1.6. The closer you are to 1.3 is an individual that is less active. This is also a way you can gauge if you're an individual that also is very, I guess you would say, stubborn when it comes to losing or gaining weight. Those two factors, if you struggle with and you know that that's you want to do closer to 1.3, okay? The closer you are to 1.6 is an individual that, say this individual does construction, you know, something that's physically demanding, or someone that just is very active, okay? So that individual will be closer to 1.6. In my case, I lose weight a lot quicker. So I'd like to go higher on this, not only because I do work out 5 to 6 times a week, which is pretty high, and I would consider myself closer to the 1.6, but I'm also an individual that struggles when it comes to gaining weight. So the higher the number, the more calories. 1.3 individuals that aren't really doing too much. 1.6 individuals that are very active, okay? I'm pretty active and I actually need to eat a lot more to gain weight. I'm gonna hit that 1.6, so the top range. Multiply these 1800 calories by that 1.6 and I get 2880. 2880 is actually your maintenance calories. That would be the calories you typically ingest and you stay at a steady state with your weight. So this will be, you know, if you're waking up in the morning and you seem to always be 180 pounds, then you're roughly hitting that 2880 mark. Obviously it fluctuates 2 to 3 pounds a day to fluctuate. It depends on your diet, depends on how much water you had, how much sodium, things of that nature. Fiber, a contributor to weight fluctuation as well. Keep that in the back of your head. From those calories, those are maintenance. So from there, if you want to add size, you want to be at a caloric surplus. You want to add a good amount where you're actually gaining enough weight, but not too slowly or not too rapidly. And this is where we come into the rate that you want to hit. The rate of gaining depends on the level of experience that you have at the gym. I'll just go over 3 classifications. So a beginner should shoot to gain about 2 to 3 pounds a month. Then an intermediate should shoot to gain 1 to 2 pounds per month. Advanced, those is a max of like 0.5% of their body weight because their strength and body is just growing that much slower because of how advanced their lifting is, and it's a little bit more tricky when it gets to that advanced stage. I'm intermediate, so I'm trying to hit roughly 0.5 pound per week. General range that you want to add to your maintenance calories is 300. I think 300 is kind of in the middle, and the top range I would shoot for is 500, but if you are a little bit newer and you're doing a little bit of trial and error, I would just shoot for 300 and see how your body reacts, and then you can definitely up that, or even vice versa. The 300 might be a little bit too high and you might have to go a little under, but 500 would be tops in most cases because 500 should give you a reasonable amount of caloric surplus to see that change. I struggle with my weight gain, and I know I struggle because it's always been this way, and I have a general sense of how my body works. I'm gonna go with 400 calories. Going back to our maintenance calories, I'm gonna add 2880 plus 400 calories. That equals out to 3280. 3280 would be my lean bulking calories, and from this point you kind of just have to break it down. Okay, so great, we have our calories, but now how do we break that down to an actual meal plan? And to set up a meal plan, you have to know how much you have to eat of the 3 basic macros, okay? And you want to break all these calories down into proteins, carbs, and fat. That would be your majors. Not saying micros are not a huge part of your diet. If we focus on these 3, most of your noticeable change will be coming from this. Everything else is kind of added to it and just makes your body work a little bit better. Now to take it to our protein, carbs, and fats, what we're gonna do, lean over to our range. Now that we're focusing on these 3 macros, we're gonna go to a range, okay, that you should shoot for. Protein is the easiest one, somewhere between 0.8 to 1 gram per pound is the range that you want to shoot for, the most optimal. In my case, easy, 180 grams of protein. And then for fats, you want to shoot from 20 to 30%. For this one, what you'll do, little thing, each gram of protein, each gram of carbs, each grams of fat, there's the calorie count to it. Proteins, again, it would be 4 calories, and then carbs, same thing, 4, and then fats actually has a higher calorie count, so 9. What we want to do with that 180, which would be my protein, you actually just multiply that by 4. 180 times 4, that gives me 720 calories. So that's the amount of calories I'm going to get just from my protein. Then we'll move over to our fats. What we do for fats, since it's a percentage, what you want to do is go back to your bulking calories, which in my case was a 3280, and then multiply that by 0.2 to 0.3. So I do pretty good with 0.25, so right in the middle. I'm going to go back and do 3280 times 0.25. That gives me 820 calories. And to get the grams, you just divide that by 9. I'm going to be at 90. It's 91, but I'm just going to make it easier. Just go down to 90. So now we have those 2. So what we do with those 2 is just add the calories. So the calories for my protein, 720 plus 820 equals 1540. And what you do is just get that 1540 and go back to your lean bulking calories, 3280 minus 1540, and I'm at 1740 left calories. What is left over is just going to be your carbs. So I'm going to divide that by 4, and that gives me 435 grams. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing. It's pretty straightforward. What you want to do is get your protein first, because that's the easiest one, so it's dependent on your weight. Then from that, you want to get your fats. Carbs are always at the end. Then you want to go to fats. And fats, again, you want to shoot for 20 to 30% of your calories. You get your calories, multiply it by somewhere in between. If you want to do less fat, you just shoot for 0.2. The higher fats, that just means lower carbs. If you do better on that, then go higher. Go with the 0.3. In my case, I'm just right in the middle, and I think I do pretty good with that. I multiplied that by my percentage, got those calories. Once you get those 2 calories, you add them, and you actually subtract that amount by your lean bulking calorie count. What's left over will be your carbs, and you get the calorie count, but then you divide it by 4, like I mentioned, because each individual carb is 4 calories. That's the method I use, and it works pretty well. I know there's a lot more, there's other programs that are more specific to you, and it's worth noting, but this is a great way to start. Always great to try this out and see how your body reacts to, because every body is different. Mine is a little bit more stubborn, so I have to do a lot more calories, and it wouldn't compare to an individual that gains weight a lot quicker. Now from this point, what you want to do is actually try it out. So what you want to do, typically after 2 weeks of trying this out, you'll get a general sense of how your body is doing. Say you're gaining weight too rapidly. So what you want to do, since we added 400 at the beginning, you actually can dial that down and be like, instead of adding an overall 400 to your maintenance calories, you can just subtract 100 calories. What that'll do is bump it down check that out, see how your body does. Vice versa, if you're not gaining enough weight, you can say, you know what, I added these 400 calories and I don't see a steady gain or a gain that I am comfortable with. You would add 100. And what I do, try to stick with 100. 100 is a very good place to start. You're not going too crazy. It's a more subtle change, and I think 100 for most cases you'll see enough change to know what you have to do. So that will work with cutting and bulking. Bulking, it's a lot harder to build new muscle than it is to cut. So just think of it this way, it's going to be a longer process to build muscle and gain weight, just in general. For most people, to cut, it's a lot quicker, almost half the time that it takes for an individual to do a solid phase of lean bulk and really taking that body to a next level and developing new muscle. For cutting, if you're an individual that was on the maintenance, so if we go back to my maintenance, 2880, what I'll do from that point, I'm an individual that loses weight a lot quicker. I would just subtract 100 calories from my maintenance. So the 2880 that I got, I would subtract 100 calories, and then that'll just give me 2780. And then I'll see that again. Same thing, run through it for a week or two and see how you're doing. If you're losing weight too quickly, then bump it up, but I feel like 100 is not too much. If you're not losing enough in the rate that you want to do, you can bump that down even higher. Also, cardio does help you start that process as well. But if you just subtract 100 to 200 calories, you'll be pretty solid and kind of gauge it from that point. Again, if you want to subtract more than the 500 mark, which I feel like is the top and bottom for all these, you should probably reassess and make sure you got your numbers correct. But adding or subtracting more than 500, I don't know if that would be the best route to go. Just in my cases that I've seen and kind of noted as well, that seems to be the ceiling and the floor. Hopefully that made sense. That's how I do my calories. That gives me a general sense of where to start. Hopefully that helped you guys. In my case, this number is off from what I'm doing now, but it was a great way to start because I actually started from this, and from that number I was slowly bumping that up a little bit. But it was a great way to start. 90% of the people that do this are pretty spot on. I'm doing a lot more work, my body is going through a lot more stress, and it's actually going through a lot more physical activity than it was in the past. So that's why my calories were actually bumped up a lot higher. It's just because of the program. But an individual that's working out 3 to 4 times, even 5 times a week, moderately active, does pretty well with this. There's a lot more methods, but this is just a method that I use and that I've seen and heard from a lot of other individuals that I follow. And yeah, so that's what they do. Hopefully you guys found this video interesting, and hopefully you guys take this information and set up a plan for yourself. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for my next videos.